Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today is 16th of April and let's start with the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in this session we are going to take the relevant articles which are there in newspaper with respect to our examination, and also you can download this explainer notes that I am using here from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. Now first of all guys, we start with a GS quotation. So today here we have quotation from John Knoll. So John Knoll says that any tool can be used for good or bad. It's really the ethics of the artist using it. Fine. For example, nuclear technology. It can be used for good, that is to make clean energy. But at the same time, nuclear, basically uranium, can also be used to make the nuclear weapons, which can cause a lot of destruction. So any tool, any technology will have its dual purpose, dual use. Now the way it is being used, it depends on the person using it, that person's ethics. You can use this particular idea in GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. So that is all about it guys, and now let's start with the first article for today. So here we have this article, a new data law, a barrier to journalistic free speech. Now, before starting this particular article, one thing I would like to tell you guys, and listen very carefully. Even if you are analyzing or reading newspaper by yourself, you might be finding that there are so many articles which are just on political direction. For example, in editorial today, there is even article comparing the UPA versus BJP's regime and all such kind of a things. Now, these kind of a things are not at all important for you. In fact, 90% newspaper are now filled of because of this general elections that are now coming. Please don't waste your time. Okay, there are very few selected articles that are coming. So even if the articles are less, you should not be driven by the compulsion. No, I have to give 2 hours to newspaper every day. If there are few articles, just do them and then move to your static. So we have very few selected articles. Okay, so here we have this article. This article we are going to use with respect to GS paper number 2, issues related to privacy. Issues related to privacy, fundamental right to privacy. Okay, as well as freedom of free speech and expression. Speech and expression. Now, first of all, before going in this article, I would like to give you some basic background information so that you can understand that what this particular article is containing. Okay, so basically, uh, the story starts from Puttaswamy case. Story starts from Puttaswamy judgment. Now, in Puttaswamy case, Supreme Court recognized that within the domain of Article 21, right to privacy is one of a fundamental right. One of a fundamental right. Now, as privacy is a fundamental right, it is government's responsibility to frame a law to protect the privacy of citizens. To, to protect the privacy of citizens, it is government responsibility to frame a law. Now, what government did? Government, just after the Puttaswamy judgment came, constituted BN Shri Krishna Committee. BN Shri Krishna Committee. This BN Shri Krishna Committee suggested that we need to come out with a digital digital data protection law. Digital data protection law, which will protect the citizens' privacy, in the realm of digital world. In the realm of digital world, this was something that came. Now, government on the lines of this particular committee, even introduced the bill in the parliament, but then it was rolled back. And what happened? Government finally again came out with a new bill, and this particular bill was passed. And we got Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Okay, so finally we got this. Now, this particular article is talking about one of a dimension. Article says that actually what has happened, in the name of privacy, liberties, in the names of privacy, liberties and freedom of journalism has been curtailed. Fine. Liberty and the freedom of journalism has been curtailed. This is the contention of this particular article. So that thing we are going to explore here. Now, article says that the Digital Personal Data Protection Law provides for many such rights. For example, it recognizes the basic rights such as the right to access, right to erasure of data. Okay, for example, guys, Suppose your personal data is there. Now, if companies want to use your personal data, they want to process your personal data, they need to take your consent. They need to take your consent. Okay. However, once if you have given consent, you can withdraw your consent also. Fine, right to erasure. Your data has been collected. You can request that my data is to be erased. Fine. So all these rights have been recognized in this Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Now, article says this thing that it has one implication on journalism. Now, it is said that usually journalistic activities, they are exempted from certain privacy obligations. For example, journalistic activities, they are not required to notify the users, or they are not required to take the consent before using their personal data. Okay. For investigative journalism, this is important thing. For investigative journalism, this is important thing. Let's understand with the help of an example that why it is important. Now it is here there is an example. Suppose there's a journalist, and journalist is covering the story with respect to an MP, member of parliament, that whether MP's performance is good or not, whether he is the person of integrity or not. So this newspaper is covering a story on him. Now for that they need to collect a lot of information with respect to their lives. For example, with which type of people they are meeting, find in which different towns, villages, cities they have toured. Also, with respect to their financial background, a lot of information is to be raised. For example, the companies where they are investing, find where their family members are investing, their wealth. Has it increased drastically in the past few years, or has their family members' wealth increased drastically in the few years? All this information is to be collected. All this information is to be collected. Now, this information can be characterized as the personal data of this MP. Now, can you think that they'll ask this information from an MP and MP will provide it? No, MP is not going to provide this particular information freely. Okay, why? Because if this information is provided, then there are a lot of patterns that will emerge, which then MP will not want if MP is doing some unethical activities. So this is something that is there. Okay, which will have some negative implications on the investigative journalism. Okay, also it has been provided that the law empowers government to call for any information from any data processor in India. Now understand this thing that main number of times journalists what they do, basically they run certain stories in which certain scams are unearthed, and often the people's identity is hidden. People's identity is hidden. That identity is not revealed. But now this law gives power to the government, that government can call for any information from any data processor in India. Means media houses, news houses, fine, they cannot conceal the identity of certain people who want to stay anonymous. They have to share it. Okay, so this is also having a negative implication. Now it has been provided that because of this journalism might suffer. Because of this journalism might suffer. Now, article provides this thing that when such laws are passed, there should be the detailed discussions that should be carried. In fact, here also the discussions were carried, but they were invite only town hall meetings that were there. Government invited few people, discussed with them. Okay. Also, it was provided that these exemptions are being withdrawn. Fine, they were not discussed here. Fine, that journalist. Fine. Now see, earlier draft that was there, journalists were given an exemption that okay, you need not to take the consent if you are uh, doing some investigation for your investigative journalism. In final bill, it was withdrawn. So these things were not told to the journalist. Now, what is the suggestion? Suggestion is this, that now what government need to do? Government need to now start an open and transparent consultation process. Also, government has not notified rules for enablement of this particular act. So what government need to do? Government need to remedy this problem by notifying the rules under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, and by that some respite, some reform can be expected here. So this is guys all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll be moving to next article. India's Arctic Imperative. India's Arctic Imperative. Now, so this particular article, guys, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, international affairs, India's role in international platforms. Okay. Now, what happened recently, guys? India has made winter expedition at the Arctic. Now, when we talk about India's expedition in Arctic, up till now, India largely made expedition during summer month. India largely made expeditions during the summer month, but this time, for the first time in 2023, winter expeditions got started. Winter expedition got started. Now, this expedition was made at Himadri. Now, Himadri is research base of India. Himadri is the research base of India in Arctic region. In Arctic region. Okay. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about India, fine, India. So I told you that up till now only summer expeditions were made, but why winter expedition has now been started? It is because of multiple prospects that are associated with Arctic. Let's understand this thing more clearly. Now here, just a minute. Yes. So guys, first of all, when we talk about Arctic, when we talk about the Arctic, as ice is melting in Arctic region, as ice is melting in Arctic region, many new routes will many new routes will become operational. For example, guys, here we have Rotterdam and here we have Yokohama. So today, if you want to go from Europe to Asia, you want to go to Europe to Asia, Europe to Asia, find the present route is through Suez Canal. Present route is through Suez Canal, which is around 20,921 kilometer, which is 20,921 kilometer. Fine. Now, if the Arctic is if Arctic ice melts, then we can have an alternative route. We can have an alternative route. So you can see that the route from Rotterdam to Arctic will open. And this particular route will be substantially shorter, that is around 13,000 kilometer. So 13,000 versus 21,000 kilometer. This is something that's there. Now, moreover, when we talk about the Arctic region, this is a huge region. It is 21 million square kilometer of land is there. 13 million is under the ice. 13 million is under the ice. To put in perspective, India's total land is just 3.3 million compared to that 21 million. So this is a big region. This is a big region. Moreover, when we talk about this Arctic region, there is also one more thing that is there, that this particular region is it is expected that it holds 40% of the global reserves of oil and gas. Global reserves of oil and gas, and apart from that, it also contains coal, zinc, silver. Fine. So because of the mineral exploration, countries are interested here. Now, Arctic Ocean is the part of a global common. Global common means that it is a territory that is shared by everyone. Fine. Though there are some treaties in order to with respect to regulating the activities with respect to Arctic, but we don't have any comprehensive treaty to check its exploitation. So this is something that is happening. Fine. Now understand this thing, that if this alternative route opens, then dependent on Suez Canal will also come down. So this is the importance of Arctic. Now, when we talk about Arctic region, guys, there is the Arctic Council also that's there. Arctic Council also that's there. Now, when we talk about the Arctic Council, in Arctic Council we have 8 members. Who are they? Canada, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Russia, Sweden, US. Okay, only countries having territory in the Arctic, they can be the members of Arctic Council. Apart from that, there are observer states also that we have in the Arctic Council, and in the observer states here, India is also there. India is also there, which became an observer state in 2013. Okay, so this is with respect to the India and Arctic equation that's there. Now let's go back to our article. Okay, so what happened recently? Recently, India has started its winter expedition in Arctic. Now, when we talk about the winter expedition, earlier they were not carried. Okay, so India's National Center for Polar and Ocean Research earlier did not carry the winter expedition, but now it has been started. Why it has been started? Reason number one. Reason number one. There is now much scientific data that has emerged which shows that Arctic is warming much faster. Arctic is warming much faster. So for that particular thing, new data is to be collected, new evidence is to be collected. Even during the winter season, we find that the temperature of Arctic has gone up. So for that, now more expeditions even in winter has been started. Second, you see this thing that as the ice will melt, many of the new Arctic routes will open. Many of the new Arctic sea routes will open. Okay, and India wants to get associated with these particular routes. Okay, so this is the other reason that India is going forward with that. Then the third reason is geopolitics. Now see, Russia has invested heavily. Russia has invested heavily in the Arctic region, and also China. China's investment in the Arctic region are going up. Moreover, China and Russia both are colluding together. Both are colluding together, and even Russia has given China the expanded access to the Northern Sea route. Because of that, India feels that India should participate more so that India doesn't left out. So this is the reason again that India is very much interested in Arctic. Now, when we talk about India's engagement in Arctic, it's not the new one. India's engagement in Arctic goes nearly 100 years back. So what happened in 1920? Svalbard Treaty was signed, fine, which gave India access to, which allowed India to carry research and scientific expeditions in the Arctic region. Then next 2007, what India did? India undertook its first research mission, fine, to investigate the microbiology, atmosphere, geology of Arctic. And then next year, that is in 2008, India became the only developing country to establish the Arctic research base. Okay, so in developing countries, China and India are the only two developing countries which has developed a research base in Arctic. So India has played an important role. Also, we have seen already that India got observer status of Arctic Council in 2013. Fine, this is something that is going on, and then after that, India has upgraded its observatory in Arctic. It got India what it did. It commissioned a multi-sensor observatory. Fine, India took forward the initiative of multi-sensory observatory and then atmospheric lab in 2016. So this is something that India has done. This is something that India has done. Now, when we talk about the Arctic region, there are two viewpoints that comes with respect to Arctic region. One viewpoint is that Arctic region contains a lot of mineral wealth. For example, if you remember, we have seen that we have seen this particular thing that there is 40% of the oil reserves that are in Arctic. So one view is that exploit them. One view is that exploit them. But the other view that comes here is that if we are going to interfere with the Arctic region, there will be potential adverse environmental consequences that will be there. So please don't interfere with this region. Okay, don't interfere this particular region. So actually what is needed? We need to balance both economic exploitation of Arctic, but at the same time, environmental conservation of Arctic. Now, Norway is presently chairing Arctic Council, and Norway has good relations with India since 1980s, and both the countries have collaborated to increase investigation in Arctic as well as the Antarctic region. Okay, now how climatic conditions which are changing in Arctic and Antarctic, how it is going to impact the other world countries. So on this initiative, Norway as well as India have agreed in the past. Now, when we talk about India's policies with respect to the Arctic region, India wants to cooperate in green energy. India wants to develop clean industries. Okay. And this is somewhere basically India's credentials gets strengthened up. India never advocates outright exploitation of Arctic. India always advocates a sustainable usage of Arctic. Also, when we talk about India with the Denmark and Finland is also collaborating on how to go for sustainable and effective waste management, pollution control, renewable energy, green technology. So this further puts a good image of India in the eyes of the countries of the Arctic Council because of the India's sensitive stand that it has taken on environmental conservation. So this is something that is there. Now, when we talk about guys India, so India runs its Arctic policy. Now there are six pillars of the Arctic policy. Six of the pillar of the Arctic policy are there. That is now scientific research, scientific research. Second is climate and environmental protection. Now these two pillars, these two pillars are the one on which India and Norway are partnering. Apart from that, other pillars are economic and human development, transportation and connectivity, governance and international cooperation, and last one is national capacity building. These are the 6 pillars of Arctic policy, and out of these 6 pillars, we are cooperating with Norway on scientific research and climate and environmental protection. Okay, so this is about it. Fine. Moving to the next article. Siachen 40 years of Operation Meghdoot. 40 years of Operation Meghdoot. Okay. Now, first of all, guys, if you'll go in this particular article, okay. Now they have given a lot detailed explanation that okay, on which date, what happened, which post was captured, which type of aircraft was used. Fine. So a lot of hairline detailed information is given, which is actually not needed for your examination. So let's understand this particular article. Now, this particular article talks about the Operation Meghdoot. Okay, so what happened recently, April 13, 2024, marked the 40-year anniversary, 40-year anniversary of Operation Meghdoot. Operation Meghdoot. Now, here, guys, just few things you need to understand first. Okay. Now, here we have Siachen Glacier. Here we have Siachen Glacier. Now, towards the west, there is this Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which is the territory of India, but illegally captured by Pakistan, which is actually the territory of India, illegally captured by Pakistan. Here we have line of control. Sorry, here we have this line of control. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that there are actually see, line of control is there, and here we have NJ9842 coordinate. Now, there has been in the past, there was a kind of a there has been a differing interpretation with respect to this region. India says that ceasefire line goes like this, and because of that, Siachen Glacier comes in India's territory. But on other hand, Pakistan says that ceasefire line goes like this, and because of that, Siachen Glacier comes in the territory of Pakistan. So this dispute with respect to the Siachen Glacier has been there, and basically in this line, Siachen Glacier was finally captured by India through Operation Meghdoot. So with respect to Operation Meghdoot and all such things, we are going to discuss in this article. Now, first of all, when we talk about Siachen, it in the Balti language, Sia means rose. Sia means rose, and Chen means abundance. So Siachen refers to the land of roses. It refers to the land of roses. Now, Siachen was a legacy dispute between India and Pakistan. Now, what happened? In 1972 Shimla Agreement? In 1972 Shimla Agreement, line of control was fine. So here we can see that in Siachen Agreement, sorry, Shimla Agreement, the what happened? We tried to demarcate the line of control, but it was demarcated till NJ9842. So point is that beyond NJ9842, fine, beyond NJ9842, demarcation was not done in the Shimla Agreement. Demarcation was not done in the Shimla Agreement, so the glacier was unmarked. And because of that, this different interpretation came, okay, with respect to the line of ceasefire. This different interpretation came. Now, 1980, what Pakistan started doing? Pakistan started allowing the foreign mountaineering expeditions. Okay. Also, they said that okay, we are going to further establish the boundaries, that what is the real boundary between Pakistan and India. Okay, now this was a kind of an exercise of Pakistan which they were doing just to give credence to their claim. Okay, now what happened? India started Operation Meghdoot to remove Pakistan from this particular region, and in 1984, Siachen was captured. Now, even after that, 1984 to 2003, there was regular fires, regular skirmishes that were going on. But in 2003, finally, what happened? Ceasefire agreement was signed. Okay, and control and 110-kilometer long actual ground position line was drawn. Okay, and by that Siachen became the part of India. However, after that also, many number of times Pakistan has violated their line of control. But still, the operation Meghdoot success and this actual ground position line continues. Now we see that this glacier, Siachen Glacier, it is facing the burnt of climate change. It is melting very fast. However, over the years, infrastructure here also has improved. Now there is a VSAT technology because of which better communication is available. Internet connectivity has improved. Moreover, because of this improved internet connectivity, situational awareness can be known in a better way. Telemedicines can be provided to soldiers who are injured. Okay, soldiers can stay connected with their family even when they are in Siachen Glacier. Also, all-terrain vehicles have been deployed here. Fine, all-terrain vehicles, bridges have been employed there, which has improved the capability. Moreover, Chinook heavy lift helicopters, they are providing logistical support. They are providing all the supplies that are needed here. Okay, so point is that the people are not cut off during winters. Even during winters, they are getting their supplies. Now, often some of the strategists they say that Siachen and Sar Creek, they are low-hanging fruits. They can be resolved easily when it comes to Pakistan. But this is not a low hanging fruit now. In January 2022, Army Chief, fine Army Chief, General Mr. Manoj Mukund said this thing that Siachen is a place where China and Pakistan both can collude. So two front wars possibility become very much real around this Siachen glacier. So this is area with which we need to be very much concerned, and this area is of a lot more strategic concern for India because this area also looks forward on Shaksjam Valley, which is the part of the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So for now, India needs to ensure this particular thing that the tactical hold of India that has been there on this particular area, it has to be retained in the same way. Fine. So that is all about it. And now moving to next article. Okay. Now this article, it is just talking about the aviation from, it is talking about the CO2 emissions from aviation industry. Now when we talk about flying, flying happens to be one of the most carbon intensive activity, but still just 2.5% of the world's carbon emission, it come from aviation. Why? It's because that very few people are actually flying right now. Just 10% of the world population, it flies right now in most of the years. Okay, 90% population is not flying very frequently. However, as incomes are going up, as aviation is becoming cheap, more and more people will fly. And as that will happen, the CO2 emission by aviation sector will go high. It will go up. Okay. Now here you see we have the different charts which show year-wise global aviation demand, energy efficiency, CO2 emissions. Okay, this has been provided here. However, guys, beyond this, nothing much. You are not really required that how much CO2 per passenger is being emitted, in which year it was, what what was the quantity. No need to go too much in that detail. Just when we talk about the aviation contributes around 2.5% of the carbon emission, which will go up as income level of people will increase, as more and more people are going to fly. So what we need to do, we need to ensure that aviation needs to be made more sustainable. Fine, energy efficiency of aviation sector is very important. Okay, this is about it. Fine. Now with this, guys, we come to an end to this particular session. I hope that you have liked this particular video. Fine, also I hope that you have understood this particular video. Also, please download notes of this session from the Telegram channel. So that is all about it, and now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.